safety fans are saying that potentially what they were trying to do with Perez, you know how Ted Kravitz mentioned the underfueling thing as a conspiracy, not based on anything. People have taken that a step further and said, oh yeah, they were going to crash Perez's car on purpose to try and bring the safety car out.
You know, that's the thing, like, if it's Mercedes, I'd say no. Like, McLaren, all of these time. If it's Red Bull, I expected them to do something. Like, I expected Perez to actually slow down. Like, I expected him to slow down and, like, force some sort of contact with Lewis.
You mean brake testing?
And he couldn't like, that's the thing, the track is too wide for him to brake test Lewis.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, as in, you know what, during the overtaking, if, like, say he overtook, like, you know the one where he overtook Lewis on, like, the inside and then he pushed Lewis to the outside, if he had pushed too far right, he would have, like, taken Lewis's front wing. And he'd be like, it's by mistake, you know.
He
and
got me a puncture, bro. No. Tragic.
But Lewis would have had front wing damage. Made it a lot easier for Max to catch up with him and stuff. But I think they held on because I think there was the idea that it's not desperate. I don't know, like, I expect it from Red Bull, I don't. But maybe the team has changed from, like, what they used to do up to 2014. And just, like, you know, we mentioned, like, a fun fact from the past. I bring up a fun thing. Red Bull's sister team, or Red Bull's smaller team, AlphaTauri used to be Toro Rosso. They won before Red Bull ever won.
The 2000, was it 7?
2000
or 8?
8.
It was Monza.
Yeah. Sebastian Vettel won in the Toro Rosso.
In the race.
So, in the race, bro, that race, you have to watch that race. But
I'm gonna link that one as well.
But he won that race, and that made Toro Rosso win a race, even though it's the smaller team, before Red Bull ever won a race. I think they won.
Here's a really good question for you. So, for context, Red Bull was founded or created. They were put on the grid in 2005. Toro Rosso 2006, and then the win you're mentioning is 2008.
Yeah.
Right, and then Red Bull then, I think they won their first race in 2009.
9 and then won 10, 11, 12, 14, 13.
With the championships.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen Red Bull absolutely pour all of their resources into this year, do you reckon AlphaTauri could finish above them in the championship?
That would be so fun.
They're doing really well. Like, Tsunoda had a great race last time.
Yeah.
He said he's confident in the car now. Gasly's obviously Gasly. If they have a decent car, do you reckon there's potential that they could finish above Red?
That's the thing. If you actually look at, like, the team, I think AlphaTauri spent most of its money on resources.
Yeah.
On next year, whereas Red Bull didn't. But so, yeah, it could be possible, you know. That would actually be so fun. I think Max would finish above the two other guys.
Oh yeah, no, he would do. Yeah.
But it's funny because I think that it's possible. You know, you can't say it's not possible. Especially with Red Bull spending all its money this year on this car. Excuse me. Then, yeah, it's possible.
I was trying to find out if it's...
I don't think it's gonna happen. Really. I think Red Bull will finish ahead, just purely because if they're ahead, a team call will come to force their Red Bull ahead, even if they.
You mean even in, like, first race like Bahrain, like?
Yeah, I think that would happen.
Really?
They wouldn't allow, like, someone from AlphaTauri to finish ahead of them. I don't think so. But yeah, we haven't talked, by the way, about, like, the races for next year. The races that are gonna have what's called?
The what?
The race before I forgot. The useless race.
Oh, the sprint race.
The sprint race, yes.
We'll get into the sprint races in a sec for the future, but for now, actually, we'll mention it in a bit. Yeah, actually, I know what that'll fit in. So as we've said, Mercedes have withdrawn their appeal. Here's the problem with the system they're running now. So we said right at the start, if they appealed, then chances are they'd win the case. And, talking about what that would mean for the sport and all of that stuff. The reason they said they probably win, but also they kind of had doubts, is because you're not allowed to go to there were two courts people were talking about. The Court of Arbitration for Sport, they weren't allowed to go to that. Which means because of, I said last time something to do with the constructors, once they enter the championship, they say you have to settle your stuff in the International Court of Appeal. Which is an FIA court. So the International Court of Appeal is the statements describing it. The first paragraph or one of the paragraphs will say it's completely separate from the FIA. Then the next paragraph says you speak to a panel of 36 judges who were implemented by the FIA. So it's separate from the FIA, so it shouldn't be biased. But the people who are doing the judging are chosen by the FIA.
And then there's a court above that.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to go to that. So what
The
Toto
FIA
was
is
saying...
the FIA is allowed to push the case up to the court above, but Mercedes cannot go straight to the top court.
Which is the top court you're talking about?
It's the one where McLaren was judged. It's the International Court of Motorsport or something like that.
I don't know. What I saw was the options Mercedes has was to go to the International Court of Appeal. But Toto has called it the FIA marking their own homework. And quite a few, media
the
outlets
FIA
are talking about that as well.
can't mark their own homework,
I mean, surely that's got to change now.
Yeah,
as well.
I think.
I doubt they'll change that in their investigation they're doing, but that's got to change.
Yeah, if you look up the other one, you'll see it. They judge McLaren, but yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? Because then they just push whatever they want.
Yeah.
They just keep pushing their own one. I'll send it to you. I'll check and I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's Federation International. Oh no, that's the FIA.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely another one. I'll send it to you if I find it. But yeah, that's nonsense to be honest.
Honestly, they've got to change it because that's honestly it's not great. And the FIA
or it has to be judged by a totally different everyone. The International Court of Appeals becomes literally just a totally separate organization where people come in from they have to have no background with the FIA to judge the case. That's how it's supposed to be. It can't be someone chosen by because the FIA will just choose people to do exactly what they want.
Yeah, realistically, the complaint Mercedes lodged with the stewards right after the race, that should have been overturned instantly. They should have been given it there. But obviously, they didn't. They found whatever way they could to make sure that 2 hours after the race.
You're talking about the rules. You're saying the rules are good, but then they give the guy the total control over the safety car.
We won't get too much into this because we
But
argued
you can't have that. You can't have that though.
I don't agree that says that means that.
But that's the way they're implementing it. But I think that rule shouldn't even be there.
It should be there because the clerk of the. So here's the funny thing. Actually, I read them again. When it says.
You can tell he's very bored. He didn't want to do his coursework, so it's just sitting there.
You can see when it says I said Article 48 talks about the safety car. Point 1.2 is about the lapped cars. Point 1.3 is about bringing them in or bringing the safety car in. Every single reference to how it happens, it says the clerk of the course shows up this message, and then it shows lapped cars can now overtake, or the clerk of the course shows this message, and then it says the safety car is in this lap. But then you go back to 15.3, and it says the race director has overall authority, which means he can override those decisions from the clerk of the course. So it's referencing the fact that he can override whatever the
so
owner
he can
of the
do
course
whatever
can
he
do
wants.
That. No, because he still has to follow those rules. He still has to follow. He has.
But it's not. That's the thing.
I
think that rule needs to be I think the FIA have to look at the rules. I don't think the rules with racing need to be changed. I think they need to be made clear, as in what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
And that rule needs to be changed to make it clear that he doesn't have overall authority over the safety car. Rather, he just has authority over this, and this, and made the rule totally clear. He has to follow the rules. This is within the bound of, say, all the other rules, the bounds of all the other rules. He can't just go make up rules and be like, I'll follow half of them and not follow
That's the thing, so this brings us back to what we were saying earlier. Rules to do with the cars, the drivers, the racing and stuff like that, they have to be airtight, because otherwise people are going to take advantage. Rules to do with the race director and things like that, they don't have to be perfect, because as long as you get someone good to run those rules, then it's fine.
Yeah,
When
because
Charlie
these
Whiting
rules
was
were
in
the
charge-
same when Charlie was in charge.
When Charlie was in charge, I never read the rules. I didn't care. I didn't need to know the rules. I was a teenager, and also, as much as I was interested in F1, I didn't have to go around downloading PDFs of the rules to try and argue with people on Twitter. Like, what is this? That's so, like, it's stupid. No one cared. Back when Charlie Whiting, no one.
He
no
did
one
a much
brought up the
better
rules,
job.
like-
I think he didn't care, because he didn't care about the show, he cared about following the rules. That's the only
Yeah.
thing he cared about. He didn't care about rules or whatever. Michael Massey's been in for 2 years, yeah?
Yes. Yeah,
and
start
then
of 2019.
in Eiffel, the Eiffel Grand Prix in 2020,
That's Nürburgring.
he said that, so the safety car went too long and everyone was complaining. He's like, we had to let older cars go past. It's the rules. And then he goes and he breaks his own rules, bro. He's not following his own rules. This is what annoys me is the people from the FIA. So I think Michael Massey is part of the FIA, essentially, in terms of like he's their representative.
Yeah.
They wrote the rules and they're breaking their own rules, bro. As in,
It's a joke.
he's not like, you're breaking your own rules. It's not like a team principal breaking the rules because he's a naughty kid, breaking the rules. You're the FIA representative. Oh,
You made
my
the rules
God.
and you're breaking them for the. Like, just to talk about, so that quote, it was brought up somehow on F1 Twitter, and then it ended up being in the British media. Now, for people who don't know, like, just to talk about the scale of, you said, like, everyone's talking about this, to talk about the scale of how big this is now. The British media, the racist British media, including the Daily Mail, like, all sorts of racist publications who have been, they've been slating Lewis at every opportunity they get. All of their back pages are Lewis robbed of the championship, Lewis robbed all of this. Talking about robbery and Grand Theft Auto, I think was one of them. Like, they're fully behind him, which I guess goes with your thing about the image, because now he's seen as, he's not seen as the guy who broke Schumacher's records in the courtroom. He's the guy who should have broken it but got it robbed off him. And they've been talking about, so including.
And if
on
he
top of
leaves
this,
now, it's gonna just look very bad for Formula One.
we'll get onto the retirement talk in a sec. So there's including that, so after the race, trending hashtags, Massey out, fixed with like the one, so like F1 XCD. What else is there? There was all sorts of stuff. Honestly, so Lewis Hamilton, I stand with Lewis Hamilton was trending, Lewis Hamilton in general was trending, robbed was trending, and then just as this went to die down, on Wednesday, Lewis was knighted. So once again, Sir Lewis Hamilton's trending on Twitter. They're talking about him again. They're still talking about him. Then, I think in that afternoon, the FIA released their statement blaming the fans. Once again, it brings it, like, just as it's about to die down, it comes back up again. And then on Thursday, Mercedes released their statement. And then there's all the reaction to that. So it's been a week and people are still
talking about.
They're all over the place. Honestly, it's mad. It's incredible. Like, it's actually everywhere.
I think
You can't escape
the
it.
best thing for